This uncensored episode of SpectreSoundStudios is brought to you by my awesome patrons. Join the Spend a Buck, Give a Fuck campaign and keep YouTube fun. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to SMG Viewers Comments. Hope you're going to have a great weekend. Let's get right to it.
Why is this great? Fantastic way for viewers to check out new and upcoming bands. Fantastic way for people to see what their peers are doing in the industry/community. Great way for people to come together artistically rather than just spamming and trolling in the comments. And of course, a great way to learn about our mixes. This is the most music community boosting thing I've seen on YouTube, period. Thanks so much for all you do, Glenn. This is amazing.
Of course, you're talking about our new show, Merciless Metal Mix Reviews. The next episode will be coming up on August 2nd. I'm not doing these every week quite yet. It really depends on you guys. I'm going to space it out to every 2 or 3 weeks. But August 2nd is the next time I'm going to be available to do it. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from you guys and checking out some mixes with me because it's just an awful lot of fun. And we've got to check out some really cool bands in the process. Thanks to everybody who's signing on. Make sure you show up for August 2nd. At 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It's gonna be great. See you there.
How important is it to keep a consistent enough guitar and bass tone through an album?
You know, that's a great question. And for the last 10 years or so like that, I've struggled to keep a really consistent tone from song to song to song. And, you know, I'm kind of wondering if we're going down the wrong path with that. Maybe if we change it up from song to song, albums might be more interesting to listen to because there'll be some variety instead of the same thing for every freaking song. You guys tell me what you think about that. I'm ready to start changing things up a little bit. What do you guys think?
Hey, I struggle with tinnitus. Do a lot of people in the music industry suffer from it? I feel like since not many people talk about it, I'm all alone. People, please, always use hearing protection at concerts.
That's some of the best advice I've seen on this show's comments in a very long time. Yes, when you go to concerts, use hearing protection. Your ears are the only two things you've got. There's no replacement, there's no backup, and there's no undo button. Take care of your hearing, protect yourself. And no, I don't think you're alone when it comes to tinnitus. I don't suffer from it, but I know a lot of people do. And one way to get around it is to have some kind of background noise, either a fan or just some kind of a white noise generator in your background at a low volume, and that will help you get some sanity. Go research online and see if you can find some help. And if anybody else suffers and knows some ways to deal with it, please leave a comment below.
You hear a lot about what gear to get as a guy who's just starting out about recording, but you never hear how much experience you should have before actually starting to record and mix songs. Should you practice mixing a ton of multi-tracks until you feel you're ready, or do you just jump straight in?
Dude, when I was coming up, there were no multi-tracks to download. I had to learn it myself. So I called my friends in and had them record and built up my skills that way. I didn't have stellar tracks to work with or to know what to shoot for. Fortunately, now you can go to places like Pro Mix Academy and download actual multi-tracks and get a freaking lesson for everything about how it all fits together. So yes, go that way, start with that, download some tracks, take the lessons, and learn that way. And once you're comfortable with that, call your friends up and have them come in. And if you start to like the songs and sounds that you're getting, then you can start charging.
Okay, I'm not new to recording, but I'm a little ignorant to using gear like this. Can someone tell me why I wouldn't just use a compressor in my DAW? I'm impressed with the results in this video, but why couldn't I just use JST gain reduction in lieu of this compressor?
Simply put, because it's not the same. This is either in reference to the really nice compressor video or the Art Pro VLA. It doesn't really matter. Each compressor has its own sound. Yes, the JST plugin is great, but if you want to step up your game a little bit, you want to check out an analog compressor because they do have a different sound to them and they grab a little bit differently as well. And it's definitely worth checking out. Besides, you know, plugins come and go. You'll have a hardware compressor for life if you want.
Question out of sheer curiosity. What is the oldest piece of equipment you use in the studio?
Now, do you mean oldest that I've purchased like way back in my career or something that's really old that I might have picked up from before? Because my U87 is from 1982 that I still use. And I've also got the Ward Beck preamps back here, which came out of a vintage Ward Beck console and they've been converted to be used in rack space. And they're just awesome. But those are probably from the early 80s as well. As for gear that I bought when I first started out, I've still got my Vintech Dual 72 that I bought in 2000 and my Rode NTK mic as well, which I bought in 99, maybe 2000, somewhere around there. I've had it for a while and yeah, it's freaking great. But the two oldest pieces of gear that I own that I still use on every single video and recording ever is my Great River MP to Envy and my Empirical Labs Distressor. I got those in 2004 and they wind up on everything still to this day. That was a solid investment.
My friend who is trying to get into the local hip-hop scene is convinced he has to buy a MacBook Pro to be able to record. That's just what you use, he says. But this guy is wearing Jordans. I want to save him from his waste of money. Any recommendations for hardware software to start?
If you want to get into like laptop production, that kind of thing, I just highly recommend an Acer Predator. It's got a 17-inch screen, unlike those MacBooks, and it has a lot of power under the hood, and it's not super expensive like a MacBook. And then you can download Reaper for free. It's pretty simple stuff, actually. But it sounds like the guy already has his mind made up. If he wants to buy a MacBook, let him buy a MacBook. It's his money.
You could have used a good drummer. This guy is shit. He isn't playing both same.
Oh no, he's not a robot. Seriously, we actually tracked the expensive kit and the cheap kit several months apart. So I kind of played the original track for Cam and said, hey, can you match this up? Here's the thing, Cam drives down about 2 hours from a neighboring city to come do these videos with me, so I only get him in 3 or 4 times a year, and I got to do the best I can when I have him available. Sorry it wasn't an exact robotic performance that you're used to hearing on so many awesome records these days.
One more comment. This video shows how a cheap kit can sound in the right hands, played properly and tuned properly. Unfortunately, most drummers just don't tune drums well. And expensive kits can be a lot more forgiving in their tuning range. I've messed with my DW for fun, and it's difficult to tune, so it sounds bad. On the other hand, I've tuned cheap kits, I'm looking at you, Pro Expert, that only sound good tuned one way. Their tuning range is so narrow and the tom set's so poorly matched. So yes, a cheap kit can be made to sound good in the right hands, but most hands won't get that.
I would tend to agree. The only reason I learned how to tune drums is out of necessity, because in 20 years of recording acoustic drums, I met about 3 or 4 drummers who actually knew how to tune their kits. It is an extremely valuable skill to learn. I would recommend getting a drum dial and practicing your ass off if you want to learn how to record live drums, because it starts with the tuning, and you cannot put enough time into learning. I cannot stress this enough. Learn that skill.
I like your gear stuff, but I'm not sure I can still respect you, knowing that you like the garbage that is Mirai Nikki. Check out Bacano, Assassination Classroom, Log Horizon, HXH 2011 if you haven't seen them. Fantastic shows.
Well, sorry for having a difference of opinion. I really did enjoy Mirai Nikki. I thought it was a good story. Sorry for offending your sensibilities. I don't know, maybe you can go complain about Steel Panther pedals next. Seriously, though, I did watch Bacano and it was fantastic. Anyway, yeah, I know a bunch of you guys out there are anime fans, so yeah, if you've got recommendations for series to check out, I've actually got some time off from my day job this summer, so I'm looking to get into some cool series. So any more suggestions, I would definitely like to check that out. As it stands, I have never heard of Assassination Classroom, so I might just take a look at that. Thanks for the suggestion, dude.
More is lift shirts, guitar is lift, drums is lift, vocals is lift, keyboard commando is lift, mic cupping is lift, for that matter, anything can be lift. It's just too good to not spread lift all over. I'm currently taking actual guitar lessons as to not be a rule number 2 of guitar, so guitar is lift, ha ha ha.
Of course, you're talking about my famous Bass is Lift shirt. I might make some more of those available in the future if you guys want to see them, but you got to let me know before I put in the time to doing the artwork and all that kind of crap. So please leave a comment. Let me know what's up. If you guys want guitars lift or keyboards are lift or cupping the mic is lift, yes, let me know. I would love to hear from you guys.
Hey Glenn, what would you do if you had $1 million or another substantial amount of cash for your studio? What would you prioritize? Would you relocate, etc.? P.S. Fuck you, Glenn.
I think the first thing I would do was get a bigger building. I mean, I'm in a pretty small, cozy spot right now, and right now the drum room's getting so full, I've got to spend 2-3 minutes moving crap around before I can actually do anything in there. It's just getting to be insane. So that would be my first thing, is maybe go move the whole place into a bigger facility. And that's kind of like the long form game for my Patreon, actually, is if I get enough funding, I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to build a bigger studio and show you guys how to do it. So if you're interested in supporting the show and you want to learn how to build a studio, stick around, join my Patreon, and help me out and help me get there. And don't forget, spend $1, give a fuck.
Hey, whatever happened to TJ? I miss his toothy grin.
You're not the only one. TJ's kind of decided to focus on his day job and has kind of given up drums for the time being. Whether he comes back or not remains to be seen. But as of right now, TJ has left the building, and that's very unfortunate, and I miss him every single day. Kind of sucks, but hey, you got to move on. That being said, I'd definitely be interested in auditioning some Windsor area drummers if you guys want to be on the show at some point. Let me know.
Hey Glenn, is 10 watts enough for a decent tube amp, or should I spend a little more like a 20 or a 50 watt amp?
Amp ratings are kind of a misnomer. I mean, like how loud sounds really depends on the speakers and the cabinets you're pushing it through and all that. 10 watts might be enough. 20 watts, probably 50 watts is, believe me, plenty loud. There are some amazing Marshall 50 watt heads out there. Hell, my Trainer, which is the loudest amp I've ever heard, is only 40 watts, and that thing will just tear buildings down. It's so freaking loud. So, like I said, don't get too hot up on wattage ratings. The question you gotta ask yourself is, do you like the sound of the amp? That's what's important.
Hey Glenn, I'm having an argument with my bandmate on whether or not we should mix digital tracks on analog equipment. My view is that you can obtain really good results using a digital processing plugins .2. Also, I don't see the point of converting a signal into analog signal for processing and then ending up by converting back into digital for the release of this material. So, what's your opinion on this? Is analog mixing always better than digital?
My advice would be don't fucking worry about it. You know, the converters we have are so good these days. You're really not going to lose very much by taking a signal and mixing on some analog here and then bringing it back on the dot on digital. I mean, like, seriously, don't worry about it. If it sounds good, it is good. I use analog compressors all the time. I'll use them as plugins. I'll still be mixing in the digital realm, but certain elements I'll bring back out in the analog realm and then mix down in real time. And you know what? I really enjoy doing it like that because analog compressors and EQs do have a certain flavor to them that sounds freaking awesome. Don't be afraid to try new things. All right, everybody, that's it for this show. Hope you're going to have a fantastic weekend. And if you like what you see, don't forget to head on over to my Patreon and join the Spend a Buck, Give a Fuck campaign. I really appreciate your support, and that way we can keep this show fun and use all the language that we deserve to hear. Thanks again. I'll see you guys next time. Oh yeah, and Hasa Dig AY.